Hey, welcome to the 542nd episode of Just Shoot It, a podcast about filmmaking, screenwriting, and directing. This episode is brought to you by patrons George VK, Richard Yeagley, and John Slater. I'm Matt and Oren.
And I'm Warren Callen, and today we have on head of production Mike Davidson. He runs production for an agency called Callen. He's been at many very cool agencies. He's been at Leo Burnett. He's been at White & Kennedy. He's been at Goodby. He's been at PXP. If none of those names ring a bell to you and you're not at all involved in the commercial world and the agency world, hopefully this conversation is still interesting to you. We talk a lot about...
Fingers crossed. We'll see.
Yeah, just kind of about the state of the industry, the landscape, kind of what Mike is interested in working on at Callen. And, mainly Matt and I are trying to figure out how to get him to hire us because it seems like he hires very successful directors. We would like to be among that list.
That's right. It's a shop that does a lot of really great work. And, I think we were joking, but I think there is something about, there's kind of two types of directors. There's sort of directors that kind of live in this rarefied air where they have the privilege of just not knowing how any of this works. And then there were people who prefer to know the rules of the game. And I feel like...
Wait, sorry. What do you mean? Like people that don't work in commercials?
No, people that work in commercials but don't really understand the machinations of...
No, I don't think that
maybe they just
exists.
don't. Yeah, you might be right. Certainly the top tier people that seem artistically driven and all of this stuff also just know how to get a brand message across or how to pull off something really cool in the environment that we are working in, right? Where you have clients, where you have agency, where you have metrics, right? People know, does this commercial help sell product or not, right? Which is the bottom line of all of this. And the best people get to do something that seems really cool and really exciting and also moves the needle, so to speak. And so, I like to know who the players are and what's going on in the world so that I can be more competitive and better. And that doesn't make me less creative. And so I think that this conversation, if you share that sentiment, I think that this conversation will be pretty enlightening.
Yeah, it's fun. And Mike, if you're listening to this, we are, my September is relatively open. So, love to pitch on something. Single bid preferred. Anyhow, before we talk to Mike, I shot at my parents' house this past weekend. Have you ever filmed at your parents' house?
I have not. My parents often say that they would like to be extras, to which I say they would be pretty bored.
Yeah.
How was it shooting at your parents' house?
It was fun. I mean, my mom did on multiple occasions ask me if she needs to worry about feeding everyone. And the crew, I mean, we had kind of a big cast. We had
to clarify though, this is like a broadcast commercial. It was low budget for a commercial.
Yes. It's
Medium
a low
budget even. There were how many trucks were out front?
3.
Yeah, 3
and
big
a
old
couple
trucks.
Bands, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, we had
parking was
7
considered.
speaking roles and 10 extras, and some of those extras were kids. So we did have a studio teacher. And then we had, I think, a pretty, by commercial standards, small team. I think we had 3 grip, a key grip and 2, extra grips and a gaffer and 2 additional. We had a 2-person wardrobe team, probably understaffed in the makeup department. We had one amazing makeup artist, but that also did hair, but it's a lot of people.
Yes, it's a lot of people.
And we were doing very
that
big characters.
Sure. Yeah.
But we had catering and we had, production team. So ADs. But we obviously with that many extras, you need a second AD and a key PA that's helping the extras. And it was also, 100 degrees and we're shooting outside. So
what did you serve everyone?
She just brought leftovers. She's like, there's an old Chardonnay from a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
It's only half drinking. No, she ended up, she actually had an event to go to that day. So she wasn't around that much, but they did leave their dog around, which I was really worried about, but ended up being pretty harmless.
Yeah, good.
But it is fun because at one point we had this barbecue scene and there's a guy that's supposed to have a oven mitt, at the grill. And all the oven mitts the art department brought were just black, and he was already wearing kind of a dark thing. And the grill that they brought was black. And by the way, if you're in the art department, you need to bring a grill and you get to buy it, just buy a non-black grill, a red grill, a green grill.
Red and green are classic. Yeah. Those Coleman's aren't that expensive either.
No, we had a Coleman. It was just black.
Yeah.
Maybe it was a rental. I don't know. But I just feel color Color. The other thing I like realized when you're shooting like a backyard scene, and this might just be my personal taste, but there's a lot of green in the frame.
Yeah, I like to live in primary colors. I love shooting in the backyard. I love like a suburban barbecue energy for sure. Reds, blues, yellows, awesome.
Well, right. So you have a lot of green in the frame, right? Because it's all the background, all the trees, all the bushes, all the plants. Then you have a lot of blue because you're outdoors. So you have a lot of sky. We happen to have a pool also. So the brand I was shooting for, the colors are blue and white and a little bit of red. But I should have probably pushed the wardrobe like more pinkish, purple, yellow, red, because the blue and the green they don't really pop against that background nearly as much, and the wider the shot is, the more you want like a nice silhouette of your actors. So just a thing that in hindsight, I wish I would have like kind of thought about the complementary colors of the wardrobe.
I always love that kind of Kodachrome, like, or even Technicolor look.
Yeah.
And I think primary colors in particular look really good. Like a red really pops in like high 8.
Yeah. Even like a maroon,
brownie,
like kind of.
Yeah, sure. That's great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or a pattern, like a fun floral pattern.
I've probably talked about it, but like, do you remember the movie Dogtown and Z-Boys? Which was
How I Learned to Skate.
Sure. There you go. It was the fictionalized remake of the documentary. Or sorry, Lords of Dogtown, I think is.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
One was
That's got that one. Yeah. I love that look. The color grade on that is like, it's like quite overt, but like Southern California, like poppy highlights, deep blues, like circus red. I love it. Yeah.
But the problem is when you're working on commercials specifically, but I imagine on TV this might happen as well. You probably have smarter is the wrong word. You probably have more visually in tune people helping make the decisions, like a showrunner, as opposed to a client in a marketing department. The problem with wardrobe is you are showing like a bunch of, first you do a mood board, right? It's just a bunch of images of clothing that might or might not be purchasable. Yeah. From like a website or something. And then you do a fitting and you take photos of your actors in this outfit, usually, against a white wall or something. And you're having people pick those outfits. And I'm always like, dude, please, let's look at it on camera and let's have a backup, because this is a beautiful blue and white dress. But like when we put it in front of like a white wall with a blue, pool noodle or whatever it is, like it just disappears. And so it's wardrobe. It's still something I feel like I'm like 85% of the way there, and I would like to get like another 10% farther.
Yeah.
Because even we were just watching like a rough cut of one of your spots. I was like, ooh, her like mustard yellow sweater looks so good. And that's,
I thank you.
That's like, what you want. Anyway, but shooting at home was fun. I recommend it if you're.
You never finished your oven mitt story. Did you just use your mom's oven mitt?
Yeah, so there's no extra oven mitts, and I was like, well, I know where the oven mitts are. So, grab an oven mitt, grab this, grab that. We did blow a fuse, and I knew where the circuit breaker was. But then my mom was also like, there were some kid extras, and so my mom's like, oh, I brought down the Legos. Do you want to tell them that they can play with the Legos? Because they just look kind of bored sitting waiting for the shot. And I was like, Mom, I'm
like, this is not a party.
I am not responsible for those kids. Okay. But the reason my kids aren't here is because I do not want to be responsible for kids while I'm directing. So you can talk to them, offer the Legos, but I don't, just leave me out of it. But I appreciate it. But also I have so many other things. I also had one other crazy thing happen, which I'm sure I'm like 99.999% sure this person will not be listening to this podcast. But I had an actor that was cast for his very specific look and his very specific mustache. And he showed up without the mustache.
Shaved mustache. Don't do that, guys.
And I was like, hey, you shaved your mustache.
Yeah.
And he's like, yeah, I had to shave it for another role a couple days ago. I was like, great. And you didn't want to like mention it to us or anything? And he said, well, I told it to my agent. My agent said that he thought there was another mustached person in the commercial, so you probably didn't need 2 mustaches.
Yeah, let them know. They definitely said, well, we're going to get recast if they know that you shaved the mustache, so just go for it.
I do have 2 other fun, just one kind of piece of advice that everyone knows, but just reminding people because it's so hot right now, and this episode comes out in 2 days. It's going to be in the high 90s in LA. like if you're shooting something, especially outdoors, just do a run to the supermarket and get some popsicles and ice cream for the crew, especially for like that 3 p.m. afternoon time.
Yeah,
It
dude.
just
Passing
changes
out
the whole mood.
popsicles. Yeah. Great idea. Would you go?
And
Otter Pops or Fudgesicles? What'd you
they
pull?
brought like some like Otter Pops, and they also had, I love like Nestle drumstick type things.
Oh, sure. Drumstick.
And they had like a strawberry
classic.
cream thing. But
Otter Pops are nice. They're less messy, right? More waste, but like...
I think of like ice cream, like the creamy one that's less
Mhm.
messy, but I don't know. That doesn't melt like on your fingers. But
Well, like the Otter Pop, you're in the tube.
oh yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. This feels like it's for kids. But anyhow, the last thing is we had a scene with a garbage truck where a garbage truck had to drive up to a curb and lift up a trash can. And originally the creative director was like, "Oh, I'll just ask the trash guy. I live in the neighborhood. I'll ask him if he can do it for us." And it was like, no, on our schedule, like the day we're shooting on a weekend. Like it's never going to happen. So we rented a trash truck from like a picture car place. And they showed up with like the driver, the guy that drives the picture cars, but he's not like a garbage truck operator. And he did not know how to operate it. I mean, he had like a very basic idea. And you know, the garbage truck, you have to like extend an arm out. You have to grab a trash can. You have to bring the arm back in, lift it up and dump it. And they're like, "Oh, we're going to just do like a test down the block, you know, where it's like flatter ground real quick." And they, and it's like the arm is really strong because it has to be able to pick up like 250 pounds worth of trash.
Yeah.
So the guy goes, he picks up the trash can, lifts it up, goes to shake it. And when he like comes back to put it down, it just,
he throws it.
It
just catapults it
onto like some very special bush with flowers and everything of a neighbor. Breaks like all the branches, flowers all over the place. She comes out
upset. I would be upset.
And we did have, we were kind of permitted in a way where you call the city of Mission Viejo and they're like, "Hey, you don't need a permit." And it was kind of the disaster number one of the day.
Because I also wouldn't, money doesn't fix that. You know what I mean? If you've got like, I can think of a couple bushes that if you did that to, I would be very upset. Like I worked really hard to cultivate them and I loved them and I picked them out and, you know.
Yeah. She was, and supposedly I didn't interact with her, but supposedly she was like so upset she could barely talk. And then, and then so when it was time to shoot our scene where we needed the arm to come out, I was like, well, we'll just like imply it. And we'll just have the arm come out, squeeze around the trash can, and then that's it. And then come back.
Yeah.
Don't lift anything.
Yeah.
Because then, you know, the driver's like, "Yeah, you can't have any actors within like 30 feet of this thing." I'm like,
"Yeah, you clearly just ruined a bush if there was a person standing there."
Yeah. But I love how they turn it on you. They're like, yeah. Oh, I don't know. You want to put actors there? I'm like, okay, well, it was in the storyboards. It was in the description. It was in the script. It was in everything. And now you're like turning it on me. Like, just say, "Hey, I'm really sorry, but I don't feel safe about this because I'm not a professional garbage truck driver." Don't like blame us for wanting to put the actor where the actor was in the script.
Yeah. For using the thing that you rented.
That we're paying you for. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just shocking to me also how many freaking people on the crew have no clue what you're shooting.
Oh, sure.
Like they're like, "Where's the car gonna go? Where's the camera go?" "Yeah, it's got a hood mount." I'm like, "Okay, well, someone said a hostess tray." I'm like, "Well, yeah, that's the next shot." Like, "What's the next shot?" I'm like, "Well, it's in the boards, it's in the animatic, it's in the shot list, it's in the schedule." But I guess you didn't look at any of those. It's here. It's all good. It's fine. I get it. I had a EP that was coming off like 15 days in a row. And his crew was like exhausted, but we made it through and it was pretty fun. And I'm excited about the spots. So, okay. Before we talk to Mike Davidson, we have a Patreon, patreon.com/justshootitpod is where you can give us a $1 or $2 to help us out. We really appreciate it. It keeps the show going, doesn't? We really need some more people on the Patreon.
Yeah, we do need more people on the Patreon. And also, you find out about the parties sooner. We've got more parties coming up with some cool prizes.
We are giving away
some cool expensive stuff coming. Some really,
cameras.
Yeah, if you win one of these things, you will be glad you were on the Patreon. So, patreon.com/justshootitpod. Keep the show going. We are at a net loss, and it is a bummer.
And that's why you hear us begging Mike Davidson for a job.
That's right.
Subconsciously.
Yeah. We were pretty subtle about it. I don't think your average listener or him would pick up on it. But we were very, very clearly begging for jobs. Anyway, he's really smart. It's really fun. Let's jump into it.
Yep.
best creatives that I've ever worked with are as knowledgeable or as active in keeping up with what's going on in the industry and who's making what, and what they like in their style. And so it shouldn't be a gate to keep, really, in my opinion.
Sure. The challenge is that there were only so many reels you can review or actors you can review or whatever. And unfortunately, not every single incredible artist has the resume that matches the brief, right?
Yeah.
And so it feels like I'm getting kept out because you're looking for a person who, has photographed Dalmatians in silver cars in the snow. And I've never done that before, right? But unfortunately, there are 10, 20 really good directors who have, and you're going to narrow it down a little bit from there, right? So that's the trick with gatekeeping, but that's not your job. So let's jump into the mic of it all. So I guess maybe let's just kind of demystifying the nature of commercials is kind of become a new theme for our show, right? Oren and I started off kind of bouncing back and forth between more scripted narrative and commercials, and now I think our bread and butter is mostly commercials, with kind of short films and indie movies and all that stuff kind of being a different part of our lives because we have kids and mortgages.
And we also thought you might have like a unique perspective in that you see, you have a long breadth of experience, different agencies and things, but also you probably have a really good view of the landscape of commercials now, especially in terms of production, which is probably what we care about the most, which is how are these commercials made and how long will humans be making them? So can you tell us a little bit about what you do and kind of how you see the industry?
Yeah. I am an agency producer by trade who's just gotten to the position
promoted,
where I oversee more than I do hands-on. That said, my current position at Callen, I've been with Callen is an independent agency based in Austin, run by Craig Allen, who was my old creative director back at Wyden. He's done all the famous Old Spice stuff that you would know and many other things. But it is an independent agency that a whole bunch of us with similar backgrounds, a lot of us from Wyden, sort of reassembled under this smaller independent umbrella and making fun stuff. We are smaller in scale, scrappier in nature. I tend to get compared to other heads of production roles that I've had where I'm managing large departments of producers or studio teams. This is pretty hands-on, and it's fantastic at this point in my career. Like, the reality inside of agency life that I've never really loved is the longer you're in it and maybe the better you are at it, the farther you tend to get away from what you started off doing and loving. And so this has presented a really interesting opportunity to get back into the work, sort of get back into the process, get back into industry relationships and unlocking opportunities and discovering talents and finding the right people for the right work and trying to land us in good arrangements to do what's right, hopefully, for client opportunities that are trusting us with their budgets and their briefs, right? What is interesting about my background in the context of just the production landscape is it's started off more on, probably in comparison to a lot of folks that you've spoken to, I started off kind of on the other side of the fence and more digitally based productions, making big websites and interactive videos and microsites and all different kinds of things. And then sort of over time, everything sort of moved to the center and everybody started using words like integrated and 360 and all these kinds of things. And basically it just meant we were now in digital productions, we're shooting film and animating and making moving content, all that kind of stuff. And
I just to pump the brakes real quick, Mike, as a point of clarity, because I've seen this with tech people as well. When you say digital production, you mean make a website.
Yes.
When we say digital production, we mean not on celluloid.
Yeah.
Right.
So
like
that's
an Alexa.
Interactive, digital, whatever. Like, web-based, like coding-based projects. Right?
Rather than like a broadcast commercial, a film shoot.
There was a day where they kept different shaped producers separated into different categories and never really blending wasn't really a thing, and then all of a sudden it became a thing. It was fun to be kind of on the forefront of that. And so carrying over like that spirit when you're making things more back in the day when in more interactive digital spaces, like it was always a journey of discovery because a lot of the stuff we were doing had never really been done before. As opposed to like, it's not when you start off on a TV brief, there's not a question of like, can we film a commercial, right? Like you don't need to start there, but like when you're starting off on, can we make a piece of video that the internet can control and communicate with and do different things with the how do we do that and is it possible is where you start. So I've really enjoyed bringing that sort of process or journey of discovery into any discipline of production that we're working on. And Callen is provided that opportunity as we're doing a lot of different types of things. And so the director role in our work is on traditional film shoots. It's also in live streaming spaces. It's also in gaming spaces, and it's in immersive and experiential spaces. And so, like what you were saying about applying the term digital in one world versus the other, like director is a term that we apply differently to different types of work as well.
Yeah, and I assume like you probably, like all of us, are working on like social first kind of approaches too, which sometimes you have a film director working on that, and sometimes you have an influencer.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And sometimes it just means the client wants the budget to be in a certain certain scope. It's the process and the mechanic of capturing moving picture doesn't change based on where you put it. It's just like sometimes craft appropriate for the format is a discipline and a layer that we try to be smart with and do appropriately. When you're making digestible content, bite-sized content, whatever terrible term you want to use, like you
snackable.
You don't need to,
what's that? 5-year-old term.
you need to be responsible with
stop
like,
the scrolling. Sticky
thumb stopper.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I guess you kind of mentioned the word budgets. Like, how have you seen those transition? I mean, to me, like, just putting my neuroses out on the table, which I bug Matt about probably 2 or 3 times a day.
But it's genuinely bad for my mental health. Truly.
But what I'm seeing from, kind of like the AI stuff and everything is that people are finding way less expensive ways to produce things.
Yeah.
And I'm a little worried that your job, my job, Matt's job, we're all the numbers that barely work for us to survive living in Chicago and Los Angeles, they're all kind of based on percentages, right? You have $1 million job, you're going to get some percentage of it. Now that job is like a $10,000 job. You can't, that still has to pay the same number of people, or now you're just hiring a lot less people. Like, can you talk a little bit about like how you're seeing the landscape of like the work change and like our like
talk Oren off the cliff?
Yeah, where should or like I feel like we're a little lucky because we kind of are like at the past the mid in the middle of our career, like later middle stages of our career. So we kind of like had our way in through the Canon 5D and the DVX 100 and making videos and putting them on YouTube and meeting people in person. But now, like what are you saying? Like what makes a successful advertising film person?
I mean, if the question is around like budget trends, it's no shock. And I think if you went back 50 years, 75 years, whatever, and asked people what's the greatest challenge today, it's always faster, better, cheaper. On like, I want it all, right? Like that's not really changed. I think the tools to deliver on some of those things are changing and obviously rapidly. But I think hopefully a ray of optimism is what's coming out right now. And it's not to say that it will never be perfect, but are we just trying to fill channels with noise, or are we trying to make something that truly breaks through? And I think the opportunity to do that, like up against a growing sea of really easily ignorable content, is greater than like the opportunity, like the times that bat are smaller, but the opportunities are greater. And I see that as some opportunity.
Mike, I want to ask actually, not to drill down too deep in the weeds, right? But I think there is a calibration of scale here that we're talking about, because it would be, and you correct me if I'm wrong, there were people in advertising who were like, oh boy, the budgets are so tough. We used to spend $1 million and now we spend 500 or 300,000 versus, oh, now we are literally spending 20,000, 30,000, 50,000, right? And I think that the core important difference is really, at least in terms of, our listeners of the podcast, is like, are there going to be jobs for people like us? Right, is really what we're getting at. Because
I
think I make $200,000 commercials all the time. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like, would we rather they be Super Bowl $1 million commercials? Yes, for sure. But like, that's a very different conversation than like, oh, everything is evaporated, basically.
Yeah. And just fine tuning it for our audience, which is more production centric, mostly filmmakers, actors, DPs, writers. That is, I think, I guess I was just going to say the agency people seem to be relatively safe right now because they're coming up with the ideas. And it's the executors that are a little less safe.
Yeah, I'd say the insights and the ideas. I think the question around scale, again, is like the opportunity when you're making that 200K project is it going to break through to whatever audience you're making it for? Or are we shortcutting it just to try to hit a budget to get something out that no one's going to care about? Because if you do the latter, if you make something quality, if it resonates, if it performs, whatever that means for whatever audience you're delivering it to, chances are you're going to get another opportunity, right? And you're going to prove the value of the spend to whoever the client is or the financial backer or whatever, based on hopefully a better chance to make something that's meaningful because it's handcrafted, because it's got human insight, because it's got authenticity versus just corners cut left and right and white noise, right? I think that's the clutter is become louder and thicker. It's disgusting, weird visual, but the opportunity to make something that stands out and means something, I think, still remains,
Yeah. And just I guess just the opposite version of that is, and it's something Matt actually, I think, you know way more than me about, like just how the algorithms work and stuff, and social and YouTube and TikTok and all that, is I'm seeing now that like a lot of the strategies are quantity over quality because people don't know what's going to hit. And so making more stuff and just putting more money into the thing that's working and less money into the thing that's not working does kind of like reward the quantity.
Yeah, you need to test and then you double down on things, right? Like, I mean, we see the result of that all the time, right? You'll be like, oh, that commercial I shot 2 years ago is still running. And for a fact they shot a couple other ones.
Yeah.
And then you're
like, that's the worst thing I've shot.
And somehow it's working.
Yeah. So I don't know. I think it's interesting to see how this all evolves.
Yeah. But enough about our anxieties.
Yes.
Let's talk to Mike about it.
Yeah. It's interesting though, because I think it's like, I don't say all that I think we're an agency that is embracing the technologies and the advancements, but trying to do it in a way that complements or amplifies what we're good at. And what I mean by that is like, we use it a lot on the production side of things. Like, I'm faster at ballparking and researching and getting to places where we're presenting ideas confidently, and we're arming our teams with background information to help, move the creative process along. And then into pre-production, everybody's pre-vising faster and proof of concepting faster and comping faster and all that kind of stuff. But all of that is in service to, like I said, like that human insight, that strategy that is going to lead to hopefully something that comes out of a human's brain that we then get to go execute, right? It's all in hopefully getting us to those places faster and more efficiently rather than replacing that end of it.
Yeah. I mean, and it is also an arms race, right? Like I'm assuming like us, you're kind of bidding against other people, you're winning business, you're selling, multiple ideas and seeing what wins. Like if everyone else is using AI generated image generators to make the exact image for the pitch, then you probably have to do it too. It's like, so it's not actually like less work. It's just the bar
it's different
is
work.
Like you're chasing
Yeah, it's like when email came out and then was on your phone, right? Like, oh, okay, like we're not writing, but you're just answering emails. You're way faster, and there are way more emails now. You know?
Yeah. It's not. I'm not ending my workday any sooner. I'm just getting more into it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
You're making the companies we work for richer.
Yeah,
But
and more times, more
Yeah.
times for the, exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, I guess,
Yeah.
and again, I know I'm kind of all over the place here in terms of topics, but maybe this is a more positive thing to talk
We'll
about.
find the through line, I promise.
But White and Kennedy, I think of them as kind of the holy grail of like ad age. Like so much good work has come out of there. So many good people.
That's true. Though I'll give Goodby a shout out too. Oren and I both lived in the Bay Area for a minute, and Goodby is a Northern California ad agency, and some of the ads I loved the most as a kid came from Goodby.
Iconic.
Yeah. The very first time
we talked about the Chevys commercials. You guys remember those?
Yeah.
They did Chevy. Like basically, they'd shoot on video and they'd be like, "Hey, I'm out front of a Chevy's to show you how fresh the chips are," or whatever. And they'd have the newspaper from the day that you were watching the spot as they're like making the chips or whatever. It was all shot on video and was airing during the evening news or whatever. Like really stunty, but really fun. Felt a little MTV and was on like VHS tape. It was so fun.
Awesome.
Anyway.
Yeah. Goodby was the first time I heard. I realized there was a thing as ad agencies because when I moved to LA and I was making videos, my favorite, I saw this commercial for HP printers, and it was this guy taking pictures and putting and they turned into like live action, and he put them over his head, like he was wearing the picture frames.
Yeah,
turned out to be Michelle Gondry who was doing that. And I was like, I have a concept that's like really similar to this, that like a VFX kind of weird visual trickery thing. And I was trying to like find someone at HP that I could show this concept to, because I was like, I want to make this commercial. Maybe you guys we can do it together. And then they're like, what? That's like, has not like, it's Goodby. And I was like, what's Goodby? And they're like an agency. And I was like, oh, I tried to email them and they never responded to me, but I didn't even.
Weird.
I learned about the whole hierarchy of commercials when they were the first company that I'd ever.
Well,
heard.
It wasn't me that didn't reply to you. I promise that. Just to set the record straight.
Thank you.
But like those are each examples of like the spirit of that place is bringing just the highest level storytelling, but with like a layer of innovation to it, right? And just like taking it to unexpected places and sort of using platforms and existing technologies to kind of like get your work harder to get your attention, right? Which is what we've got to do. And then I think like starting there, like prior to that, I was a very mediocre, lowly ranked account manager, which is like a common entry point into the ad ecosystem, agency ecosystem, because I didn't have a specialty degree and I didn't really know what the roles were in agencies and all that kind of stuff. And when I got to Goodby, not to date myself, but it was like at the forefront of like digital, what I was describing earlier, digital, like clients investing in more digital
and you were
content and
a San Francisco based agency. So
and
like right in the belly of the beast.
Goodby was on the forefront of it. And it was one of the first agencies to dedicate a producer group to it. And there weren't enough at the time, there weren't enough of those people yet because there was no experience necessary really, because it hadn't existed. But I was sitting in an account seat, but also researching production companies who made, different types of content and was able to transition my career into production. And it was run by a guy named Mike Geiger, who's sort of like a legendary production leader in our industry, and started taking on anything and everything they would give me to produce. I actually produced a couple. You guys remember Doritos used to run a campaign called Crash the Super Bowl.
Of course.
We just had a winner.
Yeah.
We just had a winner of it on our podcast, Travis Brown.
Amazing. So I produced two of those very early on campaigns and like literally like built the websites and did all the like produced all the content to ask people to submit. And it was amazing. And that got me to a place where I got a phone call from Portland, and like you said, Matt, like Wyden is like the mountaintop, and it had been for me personally. And they were looking to kind of get to that next level with more digital and interactive kind of folks. And at the time we had had one child and another on the way in San Francisco on an advertising salary, and Portland.
Yeah, and you're competing with all the Facebook millionaires.
Yeah, exactly. And so it was like right place, right time, and off I went. And when I got to Wyden after a short stint, they asked if I wanted to produce Old Spice, and it was like, here we go. Career took off, and
I don't know if that name's gonna work. It's just
yeah.
Spice.
I came right after the wave of Craig and Jason Bagley and a couple of others had just done the initial Man on a Horse and the response campaign that blew up the internet, and I kind of came in and did like the next wave of pushing it into different interactive spaces, and
the Isaiah Mustafa stuff.
Yeah, some of that, and then the first big thing I did with when I was there was we did a thing with Terry Crews on Vimeo, lay him as
an instrument,
musical instrument, and we shot with Tom Kuntz, and it was just like, this is creative production, and really learn the value of like finding the right partners that recognize an idea, see and embrace the strategic purpose and the client purpose, but also bring just an insanity and a vision to it. And my job then becomes like, how do I build a plan that gives us the widest possible road to play in? Because when we started making that thing in particular, we had no idea we kind of had a loose idea of what we wanted it to be, but like, you don't know when you're making that kind of stuff what the end product could be. And so really traditional type producers, set guardrails and orders and keep teams within them. And I quickly learned like there's much more enjoyable creative angle to this whole gig if you can get in it and embrace like the twisting and the turning and the ideating all the way through the making. And from there, it was just 8 years of fever dream, creative insanity.
And for our listeners who don't know that campaign, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, Mike, but it was like Terry Crews was like a mechanical. He's almost like the one-man band you'd see at like Venice Beach or something, that's playing like the cymbals with his.
But there were like
heels,
wires and electrodes attached.
Yeah,
all
his skin would open up and like the instruments.
So that was
we
actually shot two. That was a different. There were two different projects. The first one, we shot it in a warehouse in Santa Monica. He's just hooked up in front of a drum kit, and there's a sax behind him, and there's a keyboard, and there's wires attached to everyone, like literally every one of his muscles. Like all 8 abs or 12 abs or however many abs he has. And he would flex and it would play like in post. We built it to where he'd flex the bicep and one of the keys on the keyboard would go off. We then worked with Vimeo, who at the time were in their kind of infancy and looking for big attention getting opportunities, where they built some custom interactivity in their player where you could play your keys and play him and record your arrangement and send it. We made a hero cut of like an actual song. We worked with, oh my gosh, what's his name? Don't come to me, but we worked with a known DJ to create a track, and then he actually played it, scored it, and played it. And it was fun. It was fun, but it was the first like, wow, this is like from the producer's seat, I can play a big creative role in this thing.
Right?
It's pretty cool.
It's interesting. You mentioned Tom Kuntz did that because I know he did a lot of Old Spice stuff, including I'm on a Horse, Isaiah Mustafa, that kind of groundbreaking campaign.
Yeah, he's there's a world, a category, a genre of those directors that fit the tone of the guys writing the work and the brand voice, and whether it was him or Steve Rogers or Andres Nilsson or Steve Asen or any of these guys that have that sort of like slightly off-center comedic approach and just brilliant visuals, but also like fully embracing the strategic message that we're trying to convey just in a way that you can't look away.
Right.
So
I mean, what I was going to ask, again, making it selfish for me, and I'm assuming some of our listeners, like I feel like they're in that era, you'd find the director, they do the campaign, they do Flow, they do Mayhem, they do Old Spice, and then you would just bring them back to do every spot in the campaign. And I'm finding now, and maybe obviously Andreas Nielsen, Tom Kuntz, Steve Rogers, these guys are kind of like top 1%, type of commercial directors. But I am finding that I'll do a campaign, it'll do well, and they'll be like, we're doing it again. And I'm like, awesome, when are we shooting? And they're like, well, your treatment is due on Wednesday. And I'm like, oh, you're triple bidding? And it's like, oh yeah, Procter & Gamble, you have to triple bid every, like, I don't necessarily believe everything, but it seemed like there was an era where the director was part of the creative team, and we did something well. We're going to keep doing it. And now I feel like it's an era of like, ooh, can we get the guy that just did one Sundance, or can we get the woman who just made this like insane viral video? And it's like, what's the new thing? And then you bring in the young creatives. They like you, but they want to go a different direction this year and try something new. And again, another word aside from gatekeeping that I don't like is loyalty. But it seems like there's not much of it in
it's
advertising
interesting.
nowadays.
We're literally in the middle of a real-time example of this, where we are shooting a 2.0 of a campaign for a client we had made a year ago. We made 3 spots that performed really well. They're very specific in their architecture. And so the plan, when we got briefed and the client wanted to do another round of this category of spots, I just started the conversation with our team to say, hey, you know, are we just running it back? Same team, same post, same editor, same director.
Which, by the way, saves a lot of money and time and effort too.
It does, but what's interesting is
trivial.
It was ultimately ended up being the right thing to do, but we didn't skip the treatment process. And it wasn't because, we need to see if you get it. Like that, it was already like he helped shape it to begin with.
Sure,
but
they get it.
Yeah. There's a lot of context that I'm leaving out, but like the spots are basically live action front end and back end with like this animation VFX sequence in the middle, and a lot of orchestration to make sure that we're shooting the right amount of stuff so that when we get to post, what we build fits, right?
Sure.
So the treatment phase,
it's not it's not like 2 dudes sitting on a couch, right?
Right. We learned so much in the first campaign, literally, because we were making some of it up as we went along. We wanted to take the step of building treatments because it got us into that. It prevented having to figure it out on set in the process. It wasn't about like,
but was it
prove it or show us that you've earned it? No, we ultimately got the client to agree to single bid it, and you know, they had a lot of. It was a positive experience the first time around, so it wasn't a tough conversation. It's not a Procter and Gamble level.
Treating on a job when you have it is a very different experience.
I think we speak for all commercial directors saying we will happily write as many treatments as you want on a single bid.
But it was an interesting conversation internally of like, does he need to? Do we want to? Do we need to take the step? And it was the right thing to do from a planning and preparation perspective.
It's nice to just kind of get on the same page. Having just done it recently, there is that question we have of like, when it's triple bid, it's a sales pitch, right? Like we know, like you're still, and part of what you're selling is the plan and that you have the best plan, right?
Yeah.
But there were absolutely things that I do that I front load to increase my chances of getting sold through, right? Like you're leading with strong credits and point of view and also all the stuff that we have, anything you have at your disposal. When you've already got it, it's funny to like kind of dial
more, right?
Yeah.
But here's also the storyboards.
But I don't want to bore people
visual
either.
references.
Like I made the mistake young in my career to like bring up like lens choice or whatever, and you'd literally see people's eyes glaze over, right?
Yeah.
So there is that kind of balance between. What are the differences between a triple bid versus single bid treatment in your eyes? What are you looking for? What's helpful for you?
Right. I don't think any agency producer loves the triple bid process any more than a director that has to go through it, right? Just to say the obvious out loud. But I do think that there's
I guarantee you like it more than we do, Mike.
It's a lot of work, guys. It's a lot of work.
Right, but don't you get to see 3 presentations, 3 points of view?
And so that's my like, even when it's not required, oftentimes we will enter into a competitive bid, maybe an A and a B decision for just that purpose, right? To make sure we're not limiting our own thinking or leaving something undiscovered because we only had one point of view discussing the work. And so we find that to be very valuable. The triple bid, when the decision is procurement led and purely financially driven, nobody loves that, right?
It's a bummer.
And so that's where, you hope that you find the right creative solution and you're able to navigate that part of the process when you're under those constraints. I think you can do that with finding, also there's always opportunities to override some of those barriers or restrict, whatever you want to call them, if there's solid logic and strategy and conviction in the decision, and this one might be slightly higher but it's better because of X, Y, and Z, whatever the case may be, or the talent and the partnership is right. And so that for me is more, when we're going through the process, it's about the vision, it's about the articulation that the opportunity is understood and it's valued, but also like the treatment process for us represents a little bit of an opportunity to test drive, like, what's it going to be to work together? What's it going to be like to work together if we haven't before? Like, we oftentimes will not necessarily give layers and layers of feedback, but have conversations around a treatment that are presented as, feedback or thoughts that are intended to generate conversation. Is this going to be a true collaboration and process? We're a pretty hands-on group in the making process. Like, there probably, you guys have worked with agencies that tend to maybe stay more in the back, and here it is, you guys go do it. Like, we like that, we want to be in it, and we want partners that want to be in it with us. And so, you get that through those early engagements. You get that vibe of like, what's a counter, how's a counter suggestion or thought or reaction going to be received, and like, does it start to like build on itself in a positive way, or is there resistance, and like, is this going to,
sure,
is the relationship going to be enjoyable?
It's the very first date.
Did you work with a guy named Freddie Powell there at Wieden Kennedy?
Oh, I did. We actually just shot a spot with him, and it's out in the world now.
Oh, which one?
Oh, cool.
We did an Olipop project with him.
Yeah, with all the animation.
It's like live action animation. We worked with Not to Scale to animate, and Untold to do the post. And Freddie was my creative director on some really fun KFC work at Wieden. We actually launched a chicken sandwich into space for real.
Catapult?
Or
that's Mentos and Coca-Cola rocket?
No, like a for real, like up into space, up into what it was technically
orbit?
outer orbit. But yeah, it was a fascinating, fun project.
It counts as space.
Yeah.
Don't you think it would have been cooler if you launched orbits? That's a good.
There you go.
Good pitch for them.
Generally, launching anything into space is a fun experience to work on. So yeah, Freddie's awesome. We did that project for Olipop. It's out in the world. It was, another good example of like, planning is everything when you're shooting, and you've only got half of the picture figured out, and there's a whole nother wave to come. Like, that planning better be pretty tight, because you can't go back and capture what you didn't capture the first time. So Freddie's the best.
Well, so kind of speaking about all of the names that we've mentioned, I've recognized every single one, right? Which
famous directors, basically.
They're famous directors, exactly.
And if you know commercial production.
Right. Yeah, for sure. I think, your regular person on the street doesn't know these names, but we are citing names that like are regularly nominated for awards and whose work you've seen.
Winners.
Yeah,
Lion
exactly.
winners.
Yeah.
They're at the top of the anonymous content and the biscuits and the
tippy tops. Yeah.
Projects.
Do you find that is where you tend to live and thrive, or are you? Tell us more about the breadth of directors that you work with.
Yeah, it's a category for sure, but it isn't a one size fits all. Not all briefs are the same, right? It's sometimes like those kinds of folks are used as reference for like what we could get if we had a budget at that level, but we're nowhere near it.
So go find Freddie Powell. I got you.
Exactly. And so the journey starts there, right? And I think what we try to do is we try to go really wide at the beginning, right? Like my job or a producer on my end's job is to go scour and cast a wide net and come back to a team with a really, like, it might be 80, it might be 100 links, reels to look at. And like, we roll up our sleeves and dig in, and I start through that. Like,
and you get those through reps, or do you
usually
have like
like
Instagram?
Any combination, any producer kind of has like, their go-to relationships with certain reps and their own experiences and pulling from different places. But it's generally pretty wide at that stage. And you're not even doing things like availability checking or anything yet. It's just simply like it's a tonality kind of conversation, and like start to cherry pick and cut down, from there to where, we might have 10 to 20 that we're really feeling good about, and we go up our ranks and make sure that everybody internally is good with that set. And then you dig in a little bit deeper and you start putting out feelers, having initial conversations and trying to zero in on like that. If we know we've got a triple bid or we want to competitively bid, like probably having conversations initially with 6 to 8 maybe, just to say, hey, this is out there. Like, what do you guys think? And hopefully out of that, you come with a pretty solid set to start exploring. And then you start, then the real work begins, right?
Sure. And you said, sensibility. What are the other things when you're narrowing down that list, right? Like, are you thinking about, like, have you worked with a production company before? What sort of pedigree? Tell us a little bit more about that, because that is, I think, the thing that's the most important to us and the most mysterious.
Yeah. Like if it's a Biscuit, does that, and same exact reel at Biscuit or freelance director, does that change?
Yeah.
It might. It might. It depends on the spectrum of the project, like the more risk or complication or challenging the scenario, maybe you're looking to get a little less risk averse than who you're partnering with, right? Like it's an equation of trying to deliver confidence in a plan that, when we're spending somebody else's money, we need to make sure we've got a solid plan, right? Like
what I'm hearing is, the more money you're spending, the more likely it is you're looking for experience and pedigree.
Sometimes it depends on, like, if what we're trying to do is met by that caliber, right? Like going back to the Goodby example, like you're not working, or even our conversations. I think Tom took the Terry Crews project simply because we had no money on that job. The brief was basically, we had 1 day left with Terry Crews on a contract that Old Spice had with him. What would you do with him for a day? Right? Like, which usually where a lot of
fun brief. Yeah.
And we got a director like Tom just simply because at the time he was interested in doing something digital and interactive and experimental and hadn't done a ton of it. And so, like, that wasn't a case of like, I got to go get an MJZ caliber director. That was more of like, who's out there and who might be up for this kind of thing. In certain situations, that whatever the job requires, whatever the thing is we're trying to make, may not be. It may make sense to go find, if the exact right talent doesn't come in the same shiny wrapper, then that's okay, because it's the right talent, right? It's like sometimes the match of the arrangement is more important, specific to casting for the needs of the work, than it is like the package that it comes in. If that makes sense.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. But a Super Bowl spot, you probably want one of those people.
Yeah, and like certain clients are savvier than others, and are really knowledgeable about like what their expectations are in a partnership at certain budget thresholds, and it's all, there's a million different things that go into how you arrive at who you arrive at.
Let me ask you a question. Matt and I were at a party a few months ago, and we met.
Congrats.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And
yeah.
It was on
Does
Zoom.
the shirt look cool?
It was a LAN party. We were playing League of Legends.
People don't know
I
this
was
word.
at a bar. And there were adult beverages. I think there were at least 30% of the people were drinking. But we met someone who had witnessed many briefing calls and treatment calls. And we were talking about some famous directors that maybe you have already mentioned in this call. And this person told us that they oftentimes would come into the meeting saying, yeah, what your brief is like not really good. Here's like, this is what's not working about it, and this is how we fix it. And this is how it needs to be if you want it to be funny, or you want it to be effective, or you want it to be cool or sexy or whatever.
This is the director that's coming in this way.
Yes. Yeah. But it is a director that you mentioned already, like a famous director. Yeah. Is that and I think Matt and I, or at least I was like, man, I've never, usually the approach is more like the collaboration. Like, hey, this is really cool. I love this. I think this. Ooh, I had this other idea. We can tweak this thing. The entry point is never like, this isn't going to work, but here's how to fix it. It's more, Like, we love it, but here's some ideas we're bringing to the table. Do you think?
Which I think that is the right way to handle it. And I suspect I know what you're talking about. Just a different approach, right? And you kind of know what you're getting in that package. And I think 9 times out of 10, 99 out of 100, whatever you want to put it at, like we want that collaborative mentality that I want to know that you enjoy the opportunity. You're excited about the opportunity, right? That earnest, like you see this as something that you are excited to be a part of making with us, right? I think that matters. I think that can kind of get lost sometimes at certain calibers of partnerships, and that rarely leads to good work because I think clients feel that. I think agency teams feel that. I think sets and crews feel that, and so yeah, for me, it's coming into it like disarmed, open-minded. They're learning opportunities as much as they are chemistry tests and relationship building moments. And if you've arrived with all the answers to the tests, you're limiting where it can go, right? In my opinion.
Yeah.
So
you could imagine like a Spike Jones showing up to a meeting and being like, "This is cool, but I had this way different idea."
Yeah, sure.
And,
which sometimes like that's
and
a slightly different approach than just showing up and telling everybody how it's going to go, right? Like open, like alternative thinking and suggestion and vision is always welcome, and like sometimes, like I said, you arrive at somewhere in the middle or somewhere a little farther your way than our way initially, like through that process. That's different than showing up and telling the team or the client, this is how this is going to go.
How much of it is reputation though, right? Like Spike Jones comes in, not only an Oscar winner, but like I think,
he's also one,
and also probably like the person
like has influenced the whole generation.
Yeah. Like, like if you said, hey, like how many filmmakers, how many commercial directors have the Spike Jones director's label DVD on their shelf? It's 100% of them. So how much does reputation play into all of that?
I mean, at a very limited scale of production, like we're not making $5-10 million spots. Very few people are, right? Like, I think Wyden does one Nike one every couple of years that probably reaches that category. Like, but it's really no different than if it's right for the opportunity and right for the work, right? Because the same could be said for you hire Eric Wareheim or some Eric guys, and like you kind of know what you're getting in that package too, right? Very different, but like if they didn't bring that and you hired them, you'd be like, well, I didn't get what I thought we were getting, right? So, I would say it matters, but it doesn't fit every brief.
Yeah, I do wonder too if sometimes you have like the famous film director, and they're kind of doing it for the paycheck, and aren't as checked in as maybe someone that's
but
more
you're still
excited.
when you hire Martin Scorsese to do a Squarespace commercial, you want him to do the Scorsese thing.
Yeah,
you know what I mean, right?
Yeah, your junior copywriter shouldn't be giving him feedback. No,
maybe, who knows? I'm curious. We've talked so much about your resume and kind of coming up in the world, but now you're at Callen, and off mic we were kind of talking about just the nature of independent agencies or indie agencies versus holding company agencies. Can you kind of break down how you see, from your perspective, Callen fitting into the ecosystem, and also maybe just kind of clarify the nature of what holding companies are, and give us the lay of the land, as specifically from the Callen perspective, and then from the global perspective as well.
I'll try to be articulate and clear. Big agencies, holding company networks are driven by shareholders and shareholder prices and stock prices, and a lot of decisions are made simply for financial reasons, right? And for a long time, production was sort of sat outside of that sphere of influence. And then, in my opinion, like the pandemic kind of triggered this realization that big companies can operationalize and capture production spend more on their own than they had been doing, right? Like most big agencies, and I'm talking big, like even Goodby and your big network shops, your BBDOs, JWTs, like all those historically had small production studios, but usually for like in-house stuff, like pitch stuff. award show stuff. But when the world stopped and everybody needed to figure out how to quickly get content made just to fill media plans that were sitting empty, a lot of mobilization of those little studio operations quickly spun up low lift content. We were making a lot of like sad piano. I'm going to put the CEO of the company in a chair in a dark room and say, "We're with you, America." And like we were putting all that out, right?
I call it these uncertain times of
Yeah,
advertising.
exactly. 100%, right?
Yeah. And Mike was head of production at PXP for some time.
Yeah.
Oh, sure.
So I speak with knowledge from the inside, and I think that there's a reason why I'm at where I'm at now. But not for any, at the time, not for any misintent or anything, but like there was so much of that happening that was happening internally, and people started realizing that that production revenue was staying inside of our own walls, and that's a good thing, right? And so when the world started to open back up, light bulbs went off, and
they all had
company leaderships, and they all
sure.
said, "Hey, let's invest more in that and capture more in that." Because what's also happening at this time is clients are spending less and less on retainers and paying big agency contracts, and so while the profitability of the idea is going down, if we can capture some on the back end of making, then we can stay steady, right, or go up. What happens with that is you have to influence the creative decision-making process to truly grow it and build it. And that's a really sticky space, right? Now you're asking agency producers to sit with the creative team and say, "Hey, our guy down the hall is the right editor for that job. Ignore the rest of the outside world. Only look over here." Or you've got, triple did scenarios that you're trying to influence, hopefully legitimately, but like, you're being pressures are coming at you from new places inside of organizations, and real pressures, because a lot of people's necks are on the line for growth and all that kind of stuff. And then you add in layers. I won't go into like more client facing operations inside of those spaces, but the tension with creative decision making up against financial capture in those spaces is real, and it's affecting how jobs get to folks like you guys and any external partners. Because if that producer, if that team, if that client is under any kind of mandate or threshold or whatever, those decisions aren't being made simply based on what's best for the work. Outside, in more independent landscape spaces, like where I am now, we don't have the operations. It's not an option. So our mission is to grow our clients' business through just simply making content, making work that hopefully works for their business, whatever that may be. We do that by going to find whoever in the world is right for that opportunity, that execution, and we cast based on needs of the work. And hopefully in doing that, in being earnest with their production spend on their behalf, and in hopefully, again, like executing at a high level, we get more turns at bat and we grow our clients' business, and we are able to partner more and more with anybody and everybody out in the world.
Cool.
Free to do so.
On
I greatly prefer this side of the fence. There's a lot of people on the other side of the fence.
Sure.
And, I spent some time, in my path. It was not intentional initially. I had come back to Chicago, where my wife and I are from, and took a job at Leo Burnett as the head of production January 2020, 2 months before the pandemic. And 2 months into that gig, running a big production department of 50 plus producers, the world stopped, and now I was virtual trying to figure out how to make this work. And and it all happened.
Well, just to close things out, and I know this is an open-ended question, but maybe you'll have some specific answers. For people that are, just commercial directors that are trying to work a lot, do you have any advice on like what makes like a good reel, like some do's and don'ts, things that would excite someone like you or would turn off someone like you and the people that you work with, just so people have some takeaways?
I think like having a style, having a voice that's unique, in whatever that means, I think comes through in a reel. I think, unlike maybe a lot of folks you guys talk to on my side of the fence, I'm not always looking for, and I hope our teams aren't always looking for, show me exactly what we're trying to make on your reel, because I don't think that
we
that
do talk
needs
to those
be
people a lot.
Yeah, I'm not going to say it's lazy, but it's safe, right? And I don't think
Yeah.
we're trying
The risk
to
mitigation.
We're not, 100%, right? Again, it kind of sometimes comes back to that, and I don't think you're taking chances, and you're giving yourself a chance to make truly breakthrough, meaningful stuff if you're just rinse and repeating what's been done before, right? And sometimes that's can get trickier when you're talking about big things like, do you have category experience? Like if a client, like auto work, you guys know, is it's impossible to break into if you weren't. I guess people were born on set and just started doing it. Sure, I don't know how you break into that world, but I think when you have a clear tone of voice, a clear vision, a clear style, whatever that might be, that's authentic to you, and you can bring into any treatment, when we've got the opportunity looking for that, it's the proof is in that, right? It's not necessarily like, have you shot this car at night going down this hill, done it while it's raining? Those things can be figured out in the making,
Right. So try to have a point of view in your work. Don't send generic shit.
Yeah, some reels you'll get, and it's just like a mishmash of trying to check category boxes or check genre boxes,
things that line up with the brief.
Yeah, if I sometimes the widest range leads to the shallowest pool. Is that an expression? Maybe I just made that up. Let's trademark.
Yeah, I like it. I like it. Yeah,
it's I think if I'm looking for this, or if a script needs that, and it can come through, because it doesn't matter necessarily what work you've put out, but it's clearly coming from a style, a point of view, a voice. That's to me the most important thing.
Excuse me. Yeah, it's like, what's a Spike Jonze take on an Apple AirPods commercial, right?
Yeah,
he doesn't need to have ever done it, but you kind of have an idea of what you're in for.
Can assume he can figure out the product part of it. Yeah,
sure.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, if people want to follow more about what you're doing, what Callen's doing, any ways that we can kind of keep up with you?
Yeah. What's the
Google
best way?
Mike Davidson?
Yeah, Callen's Instagram. It's a wild ride. Our agency definitely has a tone of voice and a certain personality.
Right at the front page of your website, it says I have to download a certificate.
Yeah, do that.
And when I click on it, what happens? It did download something.
Layers and layers of comedy.
I will say the website is pretty cool. It's not 100% obvious. You have to scroll. There's an interactivity to it that's pretty rad. So if you're curious, I think it sets a tone very quickly.
It all comes from our leader, who definitely has a sense of humor, and I think it carries through all of our work. And like I said at the beginning, it's been so fun to come back together and work with folks that have all kind of either been missing that or have rediscovered just what it's like to work together with fun, smart people, but fun people having fun,
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Unpaid endorsements.
Okay, well, my unpaid endorsement is the movie Blackberry.
Oh, yeah.
Which was directed by Matt Johnson. He's got Tony out in theaters, I think, this weekend.
The Anthony Bourdain movie.
The Anthony Bourdain movie. He obviously wrote and stars, directed Nirvana, the band, the show, the movie. I think he's kind of I don't want to say he's peaking right now, but he's having a moment for sure.
Oh, yeah. He's got 10 things out in the world.
He's got 10 things out in the world right now.
About.
Blackberry is on Netflix, and I loved it. And it is just like a regular old tech biopic. It's just about the guys who invented the BlackBerry. They happen to be Canadian, but he is using every element of stagecraft that we have to make something that should be so boring, riveting, and fun. And clearly, they're taking license with the how quickly different things happened and the twists and turns and all of that. But but
And
it's
it
really
stars
excellent.
Justin Long, right?
No, it stars Jay Baruchel.
Oh,
Matt
sorry, Jay
Johnson
Baruchel.
is in
Yep,
it,
yeah.
and then also Glenn Howerton from It's Always Sunny, who plays kind of like this sharky tech jerk, and it's kind of the three of them together. Matt Johnson is kind of the dwarf of BlackBerry, basically the guy who sort of gets cut out or whatever. He's kind of the goof, but boy, I friggin' loved it so much. Oren Kaplan, this endorsement goes to you. You should like this movie. You will like this movie.
I've seen it.
BlackBerry's great. Oh, you've seen it?
Yeah.
Well,
I think we
What'd
talked
you
about
think?
it before.
I haven't.
I
I'll
loved
take
it.
the recommendation.
Mike, you'll like it too. You'll like it.
I watched it on an airplane, which means I
Yeah.
loved it. I love
Yeah.
every movie I watch on an airplane. I love, Mike. And I thought it was because I'm like really tuned in and focused, but somebody told me it has to do with like the atmosphere.
Yeah. You get a little. That
Yeah.
might be true. I did watch it on an airplane. Anyway, BlackBerry on Netflix. Check it out.
That
Or you go
said,
see Tony. Yeah.
I think the fruit blackberry is like overrated
Oh,
Oh my gosh! Spend some
compared
time
to like
in
a
Oregon,
strawberry,
picking them
Yeah.
or like a blueberry.
Do you know how many poems are written about BlackBerry and BlackBerry picking? Many. They're very good.
Go up
Yeah.
to the base of Mount Hood in
Mhm.
Oregon and pick them.
Mhm.
They're about that big and they are amazing.
There you go.
I
Change
just
your
want to
life.
know what I can get in the refrigerated fruit aisle. Not
Mhm.
in the fruit
Yeah.
department,
Yeah.
the berry section.
Yeah.
And they're also so expensive for like what you get. Just not worth it. Anyhow, Mike,
Mike.
what do you got? What's cool
What you got?
in your world?
Okay, so I recently watched this HBO series DTF St. Louis.
Oh, yeah.
Did you guys see this?
Yeah,
I think
what
a
does
lot of
that
people
stand
saw
for?
it. Yeah, it blew my mind just from the absurdity and the insanity and the dark comedy. And I started unpacking like who made it, and it was made by this guy Stephen Conrad, who I had not
Oh, yeah.
previously heard of.
Weatherman.
And so I went into just his, like, what else has he made? And he made one other show, and it was in like 2016, 2017, a show called Patriot, and it's on
Mhm.
Amazon. And I just watched the first two series. The first season, or the two seasons. The first season is it's brilliant. It's insane. It's the craziest thing I'd ever seen. And the whole time I was watching it, I wanted to talk to people about it, but it came out so
Mhm.
long ago.
Sure. You're like,
it's one of those
no
things
one
where it's
knows
like,
what you're talking about, Mike.
or
Yeah.
everybody knows that I'm the last one. It was
Yeah.
one of those experiences.
sure.
But it
Yeah.
just like the most outlandish, oddball, like brilliant casting, insane storyline. That's all you need to know, really, just to dive in.
Cool.
If it fits your style, like, highly recommend Patriot on Amazon.
Yeah. Steve Conrad, when I first moved to LA, I had an internship where I had to read a bunch of scripts, and he was very high on like everyone wanted to read his scripts. And at the
amazing.
time he had written The Pursuit of Happiness and The Weatherman. It was like a
Mhm.
Will Smith movie and a Nicolas Cage movie to give you like an idea of the tone. And he also wrote The Secret Life of Walter Mitty. And his stuff just has like, it's, I don't know if quirky is the right, it's like it's off kilter. It's like kind of like a trapezoid.
It's so off
of-
kilter. It's so off kilter.
but
And it's like the dialogue.
grounded and subtly off kilter.
Yeah, and simple, and you're just like, I can't believe. So also to tie it all the way back to San Francisco Goodby, Pursuit of Happiness has a scene where there is actually an art director who was at Goodby in it. He comes walking down the steps of the bank, and just because he was walking to work that day, he's in the movie. So yeah,
That's great. Excellent.
Yeah. He has a
You're
little
like,
Bay
hey.
Area
Yeah.
flavor to his scripts. Huh?
Okay, yeah, that's interesting.
Well,
Patriot.
Kaplan, what you got?
I guess I'm going to recommend a show too, but only because I've got nothing good. But our DP friend shot a show. It's called Margot's Got Money Problems on Apple TV, which I guess is
Mhm.
where it's so seasonal, like where the good shows are. You know, right now it's Apple TV. I've also heard Silo is great, but I have two types of shows: ones that I can like watch with my wife, and ones that she has no interest in. And I think Silo might be a little hard to get her on board with, but she was really down to watch Margot's Got Money Problems, and it's a super easy watch. It's like half-hour episodes. Dakota Fanning.
Oh, fun.
There's a lot of nudity in it. It's basically Dakota Fanning.
Elle Fanning.
Basically, Elle Fanning.
Fanning.
Sure.
Yeah.
One of the Fannings.
Well, so Dakota Fanning is an executive producer on it. So Dakota Fanning executive produced this show. So it's basically Dakota Fanning's show. Elle Fanning is in it. And she's like, she basically is like she's starting an OnlyFans to make money to pay for her life. But it's fun. It's cute, well shot. And if you want an easy watch, not something not as dark as Widow's Bay than Margot's Got Money
Dark
Problems.
but brilliant. The references in that show are just that was
Oh,
the
yeah.
fun part of the show, trying to unpack the references. But yeah,
Margot's
Love it.
Got Money Problem is like the comedic show version of this show called Made. Did you guys ever see that with Allison Williams on HBO? Or
Yeah.
I guess it's on Netflix. Really good show also. Anyway, lots of good stuff out there. Hopefully people watch something or just scroll on TikTok like Matt does.
micro dramas. You guys got to
you
get
can do
into the micro dramas.
Oh,
Maybe. We'll see.
we've
We'll
talked
see.
about it on the podcast.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much. If listeners at home have questions for Mike, you can always email us at justshootpod@gmail.com. We'll forward them along if they're good. If they're not, we'll button it up. You can always message us on Instagram at justshootpod as well. And I'm at Mr. Matt and Oren.
And I'm at O'Kaplan on Instagram. This episode was edited by Kevin O'Yang. Thanks, Kevin. Our social media is done by Lily Bouvier. Our producer is Tyler Small. And you're listening to music from the Free Music Archive and the Artist Jazar. And we'll catch you next time. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, everyone. Goodbye.